Good evening. Welcome to the Port of Oswego Board's monthly meeting. And we will begin today with our usual introductions. I'll begin. County Cosmeno Board Member.
Tom Drum, Port of Oswego.
Bill Chris, board member. New board member.
James Metcalf, Board Member.
Liz Bush, Bowers and Company. Debbie Godden, Port of Oswego employee.
Diane Sullivan, board member. Kitty Macy, board member.
Jen?
Jenna LaPietra, board member.
Thank you. All right. And our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the May 11th meeting. Any additions or corrections?
I have a question about my resignation.
Yes, you do. So, it's on the page 4 or 5 in the minutes. When I explained that Jen had submitted her resignation verbally, I announced this. The process was not completed, therefore Jen was never resigned.
Yep.
So Jen, welcome back. You were never off the board. And so,
Okay.
could we please, as an edit, I can't move it, but someone else can, remove the comment of my reading of Jen's letter.
First motion for that. It's on
Page 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Under the chairman's report,
Yeah,
in the minutes.
right here.
And Connie, I'm going to
Mrs. Cosmeno read the following letter. Could we just edit to remove that?
Yep, I think,
That's what,
yeah, that's what it says.
And the
It's
second would
strike
be-
the dear Madam Chairwoman. You gonna second it?
the process,
Second.
actually, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. We can't remove what I said. We can't remove what I said. The process didn't take place, so Jen was never resigned.
So it's in.
So this is just a public statement.
I
Okay.
think we should also make a public statement that Jen is participating tonight under section 103 and that she's in a public spot, and we've given notice of that public spot so that she can actually vote remotely tonight. So I know that, I think that's probably part of the website, but I think we should say it out loud. Yep, it's good practice.
Thank you for that. And Jen, where are you at, for those who might be watching?
I'm at the Penfield Public Library. I can give you the address if you want it.
It's
Hang on
a-
one
No,
second.
it's fine.
I think it's on the website.
Yeah, it's on the website, so we're good. I just wanted to say it for anybody
Yeah.
who's possible.
Yeah,
So thank you.
okay.
Thanks, Jen.
The actual address is 1985 Fair Road, Penfield, New York.
When you said Penfield Library, I was like, she's out at SUNY Oswego, why didn't she come here?
I
Gotcha,
said the
that
same
makes
thing,
sense to
that She's
me.
in Penfield.
Penfield, New York,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm
So,
that kind of lazy, Jamie.
I didn't understand.
you're allowed. So, Kit has moved to accept the minutes, now as it is,
Yes.
Second.
and Jimmy seconded. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, yes.
I'm going to abstain. Connie, can you put me in
I'm
to
sorry.
abstain on this?
Abstain? Okay, thank you. Next is our audit presentation by Bowers and CPA, and
Back.
You're back on.
Okay, so I have a question. Do we need to clarify now for the new minutes why I'm still on the board, given what it says in the
Nope, we're just gonna make a comment in the new minutes to the effect that it was never finalized.
this is going to be additional.
Oh, sorry, it's just, she's back. National Army Board.
We're back. So we ready to?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Bush. I'm an audit partner from Bowers and Company. And I'm here tonight to present the audit presentation. I met a few weeks ago with Tom and Debbie, and we went over the full audited financial statements in detail. Entertained any questions. We discussed these financial statements, and then the practice has been to the board, we'll take the significant excerpts out of this set of financial statements and put it into a PowerPoint presentation and then just present that to you. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to stop me. In the outline, we're going to look at the required communications, the audit itself, an overview of the annual audit, graphs, and some selected financial statement notes. So the next page is the required communications. So the required communications is typically a separate letter that is included with a set of financial statements, and what we address there are the significant accounting policies. That's usually disclosed in note 2 of the financial statements. There weren't any new accounting standards this year, no new pronouncements to be adopted, no new adopted internal policies during the year. Significant accounting estimates. A governmental entity like the Port of Oswego typically has quite a few significant estimates in a set of financial statements. That would include depreciation expense. There are actuarial assumptions used related to the pension liability and those deferrals, and also actuarial assumptions related to the other post-employment benefits liability and all of those deferrals as well. The other post-employment benefits liability is the health insurance for retirees. You do have an outside actuary that calculates that, or the pension liability that's calculated by the state accountants. And then also discount rates used in the lease standards under GASB 87. 87 is the lease standard. You'll see multiple references to GASB standards throughout a set of financial statements like this. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board is the governing body that sets the generally accepted accounting principles used in the set of financial statements for this type of entity. So no new accounting standards this year. Next year there will be a significant one. It's financial reporting model improvements, and what it will affect is the management's discussion and analysis in the financial statements. What it will require is more explanations, details of financial results, trends, variances from year to year, more about the why than just, the changes from year to year. We are, as a firm, we are addressing that now with our school districts, and so by this time next year, we will be well-versed in many different governmental entities that have adopted this, so you don't have to adopt it to next year, which is good. Next page on the required communications. There were no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. Thank you very much, Debbie, and everyone involved. There were no disagreements with management. That's usually with respect to financial accounting matters, and we have not had any disagreements in application of accounting policies. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on these financial statements based on our audit, and we are responsible to obtain reasonable assurance that these financial statements are fairly presented and no material misstatements. Management's responsibility is to take responsibility for the financial statements and also to ensure that there's a set of internal controls in place to make sure that these financial statements don't carry material misstatements. We did issue an unmodified clean opinion on the financial statements. There's also a government auditing standards report that's in the back of a set of financial statements. That is not an opinion report, but that's a report because you receive federal funding and spend federal grant funds, that we have to report on your internal controls in place and your compliance to government and financial accounting standards. Pleased to report there weren't any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or any material non-compliance reported. Also, what you won't see on the slide is that we have to attach the material adjusting entries to that letter, and there were about 4 of them. They were very standard journal entries that we would record. And then on this next slide, change in net position recap, we have it right here. So when we were provided the trial balance from Debbie, the change in net position was about $990,000. That's the difference between your revenues and expenses. And we did have to record the depreciation adjustment, which you can see was about 1.4 million. So that starts moving that down into a negative position. And we had a couple of other small adjustments. So you ended the year, the change in net position, the final number was a negative $235,000. And you'll see that number pop up here in a couple slides. The next page is the statements of net position. This will extend on to a couple of pages. This is your balance sheet. Typically in a set of financial statements, it's presented in a single year format. However, we feel in this presentation it's good to have the 2 years compared side by side just to give you a little bit more perspective on what the changes were throughout the year. So your total assets, almost down at the bottom of the page, were about $38,278,000 this year. They went up about $825,000 from last year. And some of the reasons that they did increase is up under your current assets, you did have a significant increase in grants receivable. You'll see that about a third of the way down the page. It's just under $2 million compared to $1.3 million in the prior year. That was due to a grants receivable for the rail car mover from DOT. And you did receive part of that receivable the last time I spoke with Debbie. I don't know if the rest of it came in yet.
Not yet, we have submitted another payment reimbursement request, but we haven't received that one yet. And then we have one more after that.
Okay, great. So with that in place, the grant receivable did increase over $600,000 this year. And that's just due to timing when submitting these grant reimbursement reports and how quickly an agency will reimburse you. Further down the page, we did see a decrease in capital assets. Most of that is due to depreciation this year. Depreciation as a whole ran about $1.6 million. Properties held for lease did increase $1.9 million. That was due to all the capital improvements in the Global Marina project. On the next page, this is the liability side of your balance sheet. So here, your current liabilities, they went up about $1.6 million. That you ended the year with about $3.9 million in total current liabilities. And right at the top of the page, you'll see a significant increase in accounts payable. That increased about $1.3 million, and that's due to the accounts payable sitting in the rail car mover accounts payable in that number at the end of the year. So. And then further down under the current liabilities, you'll see lines of credit of $1.4 million this year. It went up about $400,000 from last year. After the end of the year, there was a pay down of about $500,000 on that line of credit. And then also the port is in negotiations with the bank to move $700,000 of that to long-term debt. So that's still negotiating at this point. So. Further down the page, you have longer-term liabilities.
I'm sorry, one question.
Oh, sure.
On that 1.4 line of credit, is that 500,000 already subtracted from that line or not yet subtracted?
Not yet, because
that's what I thought you said, but I just wanted that was my understanding too.
Yes, that happened after the year end. I always like to report on things that happened.
Yeah, was that
Yes, subsequent, just so you can have an idea
Yep.
of if whether or not those balances are being reduced. So at the end of the year, you had total liabilities at March 31 of $10.2 million compared to $8.5 million in the prior year. And again, most of that's driven with that increase in the significant payable. On the next page, we have the deferred inflows and then the net position. And at the end of the year, you'll see your net position is very close to the prior year. It's $27,200,000 compared to $27,449,000 It's less than a 1% decrease. You did have a decrease of about $235,000 this year. On the next page, here's your income statement, statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in net position. So your total operating revenues at the top of the page really decreased very slightly, down less than 1%, about $58,000. Various reasons why you didn't have a significant increase in revenue, tariffs, some weather on some of the commodities, multiple fires at one of your major customers. So just some of the reasons why you didn't see that huge increase in revenues. Total operating expenses did go up about 9% to about $5,700,000 this year. Some of that was due to depreciation. Last year you had all of this construction in progress at the end of the year, and this year it was all placed in service, started becoming depreciated. So depreciation increased about $200,000. And then also midway up the page, rentals increased probably well over, yes, $100,000. And that was because of the handling of the larger aluminum ingots. And then, salaries and wages always go up every year. So you'll naturally see an increase there. So you did have a total operating loss again this year of about $2.3 million. And then on the next page, you're going to see some more information where you'll see the non-operating revenue, that's interest, income, and expense. But right below that, you'll see capital contributions of $2 million. And those are the capital grants that come in during the year to help with those capital projects. Last year, that was about $4 million. It's down about 49%. And that was with the completion of all those projects that went into place this year. So it would make sense that you would see a decrease in those capital grants. So right there, you see the total change in your net position is $235,000 this year. On the next page, statement of cash flows, we provided an excerpt out of this because it is required. Your cash did change by about $37,000. We had cash provided by operating activities of $460,000. We used over $500,000 in capital related financing activities. So your overall decrease was $37,000 in cash. On the next page, we have some graphs. So we'd like to present some graphs just so you can see this year compared to the previous years and some changes. This year you'll see operating revenues on the left. In 25-26 you can see they're very consistent. A slight decrease from 24. We had a very good year in 23, so back then there was over $7 million. But you're seeing the revenues decreased at this point. And again, as I said earlier, there was reduction in aluminum from metal commodity brokers and tariffs, the fires, and weather kind of contributed to that decrease in revenue. Change in operating revenue from year to year, only a 2% decrease this year, and again, about 15% decrease in the prior year from year to year.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Does anyone remember what accounted for that spike in 22-23?
Was that
Yes.
windmills?
Yes.
That's windmills, yeah.
Windmills.
What was it?
Windmills.
Oh,
A lot of them.
got it.
Large
More
ones.
windmills.
On the next slide, we have major customers. On the left, it's 25-26, and then on the right, it's 24-25, just so you can get an idea of, who are, some of the major customers for the year. And there aren't too many fluctuations here from year to year. And in the other column, that's just a number of smaller customers, just all lumped into, the other category. So you don't have anything that's, one significant category in one customer, which is good. You have a mix of different customers. The next slide is the operating expense slide. So you'll see 2026 operating expense by category on the left. Typical, you would see the majority of your expenses be employee compensation and benefits and the related taxes. That's about 43% of your total expenses. And then almost directly across from it in the same pie graph is the depreciation, about 28%, which would make sense because you have a significant amount of capital assets here. And then similar to last year, employee compensation ran about 39% of your total and depreciation about 25%. And then all the rest of the expenses are smaller portions of that total expense category. The next slide is an interesting slide. It's an ILA analysis. So what this presents on the left-hand side are the hours that are reported. There was an increase in 25-26 for the amount of hours. It did increase about 2,000. There were too much labor utilized on some of the projects, just how the labor was to agreements. And then over on the other side, the expense, that would be the expense for the ILA, and the corresponding benefits. As a percentage of the revenues, it was about 86% this year compared to about 58% last year. So it's much higher this year. So, wondering about that. But some of the contracts that were written, there wasn't enough, the rates weren't high enough in those contracts to support those revenues. So there was lower revenues than anticipated. And also, again, with some of the weather and the fires and things of that nature, just overall, the revenues were down this year. Bear with me on the next slide. These are selected notes to the financial statements, the long-term debt. So we're required in a set of financial statements to report the changes from year to year in the debt items and also in the capital asset items. But as you can see here, very consistent from year to year. You're paying down your debt. You did not have to pay this year for the amount that was due to the state of New York, that typical $50,000 payment. And you did take out a new truck loan this year of about $57,000. So at the end of the year, your total long-term debt was about $3.7 million. There is some other long-term debt, and we're going to see that on the next slide. On the next slide, we have more long-term debt. These are other types of long-term debt, not necessarily notes payable. These are things like compensated absences, which is accrued vacation. And then there are liabilities recorded for the OPEB liability. That's the health insurance for retirees. That's determined by an actuary. It's basically a paper entry. It's $1.9 million. You pay as you go each month with your health insurance. So this number is calculated by an actuary, and we have to report it in here as a liability on the financial statements. And similar, the net pension liability, the proportionate share, that is the court's proportionate share in the ERS system. So again, an entry that's recorded, similar to depreciation. It's not an expense you have to pay out. It's your share in that whole ERS system, which is about $404,000. If you don't record those liabilities, then you have to have a modified opinion. So you want to record these in accordance with the GASB standards. And the last note is the capital asset, the property held for lease note. Again, we have to present this with all starting at the beginning of the year and then the changes to the end of the year. So we have this all in one note, the capital assets and the properties held for lease. And as you can see here in the capital assets, we have your additions for the year. And what had changed was there was retirements of the construction in progress placed in service, meaning that the projects were ready to go in service and you can start taking depreciation on them. So there's the FEMA projects, the west and the east terminals, and in the addition column, down under equipment, that's where the rail car mover, is, and then there's a truck in there. And then down below under the properties held for lease would be the Global Marina. So we had some significant increases this year. And then over on the right side of the page, we have to show the differences in the beginning of the year to the end of the year for the depreciation. So the depreciation ran about 1.6 million, and then you can see that broken down into the capital assets and property held for lease.
What are intangible lease assets?
Those are assets that are being leased and they're amortized as opposed to being depreciated. So though they're just reported, they're reported in here with the capital assets, but they're amortized, and there's a lease schedule. I provide Debbie, provides Debbie with multiple lease schedules. We have significant amount of leases here. We not only have the leases that are on the property that's leased out, you're the lessor, then you also have leased assets that you're the lessee, so you're leasing from somebody else. So it's a to and a from, so on both sides. And the financial statements themselves contain more notes, some very detailed notes on the pension, the ERS, for proportionate share in the ERS system. That note is quite lengthy. It goes on pages, and it describes all the benefits. And the same with the other post-employment benefits liability. That's a very lengthy note as well. So we went over these details, Debbie and Tom and I, looking at internally. Those notes don't really change too much from year to year. So we try to capture the highlights of what's on the financial statements in the PowerPoint presentation. So that's why you have a minimum number of pages compared to 50 pages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz, just going back,
Sure.
just a couple questions. What constitutes a long-term debt?
Okay,
No,
long-term debt is, the long-term debt are items that are due within more than 1 year.
1 year, okay?
So that's where all of these loans, the amount due to the state of New York,
Yep.
so they're all due over 1 year. And then there's a portion down there that says less amount due within 1 year. Those are
Right.
the principal payments that will due in 27.
And another question about major customers. So in 25, 26, Laura Benny
Carabini?
is a 5%. Does that mean all of the others are less than 5% of those list of other major customers?
No, not necessarily. That was just, the other ones, they could be 1%, so it
But
could
less
be
than
4. Some of them might be 6 or 7.
Okay.
We, if we make this, if we put any more in there, that
Yeah.
might be.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a variety.
Gotcha.
Marabini is one of our consistent
Yes.
customers.
Gotcha. Okay. So I should. Will do. At least pronounce it correctly. Yeah, that's all right. And the total number of major customers, I mean, is that, do we know that? What do we do, you know, how many organizations do we do business with?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
As far as the dollar amounts, I don't have that number with me, but that would be an interesting addition to a slide like this, to add that, the dollar amounts as well. I don't know if that-
Yeah. Right.
There's other slides, maybe by commodities too, we could provide. I think we did that a few years ago.
I recall that.
I just want to make a note while we're breaking the edge here. This is an annual audit that we're required to do by New York State on a yearly basis. It is incredibly labor intensive, and it's something that Debbie handles like a pro. We make consultation with our friends here, and so if you do go home and you do, like I've read it a couple times being the new guy too. If you do have questions, you can always reach out to us. But it is an incredibly labor intensive process. We have good partners, thankfully. But Debbie gets into audit mode, and it is a major undertaking. It's a tricky balance that we have to do with the state. We're a public authority, but this is almost what you would consider an unfunded mandate. It's something we have to do every year, but don't necessarily get the support to pay for it and to do the administration with it from New York State. So Debbie's been knocking it out of the park for a number of years, and so it's just a note that we're thankful that she's here to do it for us.
Thank you.
Well, just a note, 3 years.
Funny.
Yeah, just
You
a
better
note.
get some data here and start
Yeah,
bringing them
exactly. Just a note, 3 years.
Nice try. Let's try, I'm already on the countdown.
And tomorrow we'll have the final financial statements to be issued. I'll provide a PDF to Debbie.
Yeah, and I can forward that on to you also, if you want to peruse that.
Everything in here that I presented this evening is a part of this set of financial statements, with the exceptions of the graphs. We don't typically put graphs in our financial statements. But all the numbers you see on the financial statements in the PowerPoint presentation have come directly out of the report.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks for all the help.
You made it easy, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We know it wasn't easy for you.
It's difficult because there's so many NASB standards, and the language and the lingo as far as, all of the different requirements that have to go into this thing. So we try to just bring it together in a PowerPoint. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have to move on here?
There is a motion later, and
Yeah,
she has it back in the new business
Before
section.
we move on to the next presentation, I'm just going to pull it up on this.
Okay.
I want Karen.
Jenna, we're just going to hop off camera for a second here. I sent you that slide deck. It'll take your email if you'd like to follow along. Just bear with us here for a second. Hey, David. You got Jen up in that corner. Is that going to bother you at all?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, all right.
All right. What do you want me to?
You can sit right at the head of the table, brother. Everybody, I'll let David introduce himself, but this is David Marceau, is that
Yeah,
how you pronounce it?
yeah,
right?
Marceau.
David works for DHD, is it consulting, David? Or
Yep.
what? David has worked with the board on a variety of projects through the years, including some of our windmill projects, and has been a tremendous help for me as I've come on as a Newport director, learning how to price projects and to source clients and to do a lot of the things that I have a pretty strong learning curve on as a new director. So under the previous director, we had also contracted with his firm regarding some marketing and branding. And he's here today to give a presentation to the board about where we've been with that project, where we would like to go with that project, so on and so forth. So I'll kick it back to you, David. I can kind of stand up here and
Good.
do the slides if you need to.
Yes,
Because I've heard this
please.
presentation, so I don't
Yep,
necessarily. You let me know when you'd like to go to the next slide.
I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. Can you tell me, Tom, how much time I have?
It's 5:12. I mean, if you can keep it to anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, I think that would be.
It's going to be before that.
Okay.
It's going to be shorter than that.
Very
And
respectful, man, I like that.
No worries,
So,
a lot of smiles.
for those that I haven't met, I've been on a few boards before, but for those I haven't met, my name is David Marceau. I was involved with the Port of Oswego, as Tom mentioned, a few years ago. I was with a company called Castelloop. We were doing marketing and business development for the port at the time, and I'm very proud that we were instrumental in bringing a number of opportunities, the most important of which was the wind projects of 2022, 2023. which were very good for the visibility of the Port of Oswego. And since then, my business partner Philip, who's the founder of Castaloop, we went on and acquired DHD with the kind of the same mentality. And we are DHD is a marketing agency, and we're bringing that same experience in the maritime industry and trying to help ports increase their brand and their market, their go-to-market marketing. So how it started with about a year ago, and we worked on different initiatives with the Port of Oswego. So before describing everything, I just want to kind of take a step back and show explain what success would look like for a port like Oswego. Success would be having your current customers and your prospective customers being able to find you. Your customers knowing where you, what your strengths are. The community, the port overcoming some local misconceptions. The port being perceived as an actor of economic development and for the key projects that are coming up right now in the region. So where we started is about a year ago we started with something called the brainstorming, which involved the key stakeholders of the Port of Oswego, where we wanted to kind of identify the truth and the perceptions and also the opportunities for the port. I don't think branding had been done and any marketing had been done in the past probably 10 to 15 years. And the strength that we uncovered is our obvious ones. Ideal location on Lake Ontario. Strong and well-maintained infrastructures. I mean, there's for someone that was in stevedoring, there's storage, there's outside storage, there's a high-skilled team. Just to give you an example, when we did the GE wind projects here, we had a consultant from Texas that was an expert in wind, and he's used to work with a lot of skilled labor that are doing only wind. Okay, so they know everything. They know only wind. And when they came here and they saw the experienced workforce that we had, they totally identified that as a strength for the port. There's a lot of experience here. Finally, everyone was aligned. We've done a number of brainstorming sessions, and sometimes like the internal team is not even aligned as to what success looks like. Everyone here was aligned as to what they want the future growth to be. The challenges, you'll see that today, but is that nothing's visible outside the organization. There's something that is said sometimes, the Port of Oswego is the best kept secret. Well, in marketing, that's not a strength. Okay, you don't want to be the best kept secret. Something's wrong. And we felt that no one knows the Port of Oswego. Just and I'll explain it when we get into the website the website audit. But if someone's Googling Port of Rochester because there are different cargo projects in Rochester, I know there's no port in Rochester, but usually these searches are done by Europeans, by Asian people. They're just going to look at the biggest city, the closest, and they're going to use AI. They're going to use different search engines to send their cargo. Well, Port of Oswego need to own those space online. Okay, and it's not currently done. Right now, if you're searching for the Port of Rochester, you're probably going to have the Port of Buffalo that's going to pop up. Okay, there's no reason why you cannot own some of this space. The community and business sectors don't know the full scope of what the port offers. No unified brand or consistent messaging across material. Nothing's been done yet, so it's not something that you guys did bad. It's something that just was never started. So, Tom, if we go to the next slide. So what brainstorming confirmed is the key pillars: economic development, community engagement, commercial opportunity. We know who we want to speak to. We want to speak to existing customers, prospective customers, the community, regional development partners. Okay, I'm skipping this part fast because so where we are today, if I speak about the website, and I don't have to convince everyone that the website needs work, but so everything's hard to find. We're missing the basic pieces that Google need to rank the site. There is no mobile use, so you're not able to go on the website about Port of Oswego on your cell phone. It's invisible to AI search. That one is really important. It's more and more you're having these cargo owners, these charterers that will go on Gemini, ChatGPT, or Claude and Google, how am I shipping a piece of equipment to Micron? And the Port of Oswego, because of the way that the search is, that the website is built, is not going to show up. Maybe the Port of New York will show up because obviously the Port of New York has more funds to invest in Google Ads. No one knows, quite frankly, no one knows how these LLMs use to search. However, there is enough knowledge to know that when you work on your website and you develop some contents that are FAQs and case studies, success stories, these LLMs will be able to go through this content, especially if that's content that's updated regularly. And that improves the chances of the port being a top result.
LLM?
Large language model. So LLM or ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
I just Googled major US ports on Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
And AI pulled up us.
Yes. Yes, because port on Lake Ontario is a key term that that Port of Oswego owns because you're the only port on Lake Ontario, and it's mentioned on the website. So that's a term that is kind of owned by Oswego. What we want is Oswego to own several additional terms. One thing that we need to do as well when we're doing that is to do it via an incognito page, because that removes all the history of search where we have been. But Port on Lake Ontario, yeah, it's really important to own, and it's a good point that we're not starting from scratch.
So what I hear you saying is that what we're lacking are the keywords in our website that would trigger the searches that you want.
Correct.
So it's a pretty simple fix.
Yes. Adding content. Yes. We need to build content. We need to structure the website in such a way that that permits us to being found easily. And I'll get to the website a little bit further, but I'll detail all that.
But does the website give us the ability from the website to reach out to prospective customers?
Not from the website, but the website will be developed in such a way that prospective customers will be able to find you. In cargo, most cargo owners nowadays use freight forwarders for projects, and these freight forwarders, they're German, they're from Singapore, they're from the Netherlands, and they don't know the geography here in New York. They just know that they need to send cargo to Syracuse, to Watertown, to right outside Buffalo, and they're not going to investigate the ports that are in the region. They're going to reach out to the different partners that they already have in the region, and that's part of the branding exercise and the brand activation that I'm presenting today. So why now? Well, there are a number of projects that are starting in the next 12 to 24 months. There's Micron that everyone is talking about. There's also some wind projects that reached out to us, and where we are in competition with a number of ports. So it would be great to tell the stories of when the port was able to do wind in the past and how successfully it was. So the plan, and some of it is already started. There's the brand foundation and the website redesign. So the brand foundation and the website redesign is done in 2 steps. We have started the brand identity development. You'll see it in the next slides. And the website redesign, what we did is an audit. We audited the current website to find where the gaps were, and that audit was shared about almost a year ago. Then there's the strategic activation. Once we've built the brand, then we're reaching out to our stakeholders. We're reaching out to our audience strategically. So there's going to be business development material, initiatives such as attending some conferences, reaching out to key stakeholders in the region, not just those cargo owners that call us, but those that can influence cargo.
Can you give an example of that?
Yes. So, for example, agents are not going to be the ones that will book cargo with the port, but having good relationship with agencies that are outside the geographical area of the port can give us good visibility. Another one also is those wind OEMs and the transport companies, the trucking companies that the OEMs reach out to, and that's something that we did back then. We started with STX, who's a regional trucking company, specialized, and they probably transport about 75% of all wind volume in upstate New York is done by STX. Well, STX knows Oswego, but it's not on top of their list. It's not on top of their preference. There's some business development activity to be done with key stakeholders like that influence where the cargo is going.
Just a quick question on the wind. Is that business growing or shrinking right now, given where we are with federal funding for wind? I mean, I don't disagree that it would be great to have wind continuing here, but we just went through our our plan, and there was a big spike when we had wind, and now we don't. So I have to imagine that has to do with Trump being in office and having all the funding and grants cut to clean energy.
That's a good point. I had a few discussions with two major wind OEMs, so Vestas, which was one of the main clients here in Oswego a few years ago, and Nordex, who is number 3 in the U.S. And are investing a lot more in upstate New York. They are doing projects in Buffalo and Erie right now. So the word is, it is true that the federal government has attempted and has attempted to stop a few projects. They're not stopping those that are already in motion. And some wind projects, they get in motion almost 7 years prior they're delivered and activated. So I would say that past 2029, that's when those projects, there's going to be a gap because of the Trump administration. There's going to be a gap because no one is starting wind projects right now. But those that could come in 27 and 28 were started about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yeah, so next slide. So the brand identity, the progress that we have, we worked on a number of renditions. We looked at what are the logos right now in Oswego that are mostly recognized. And we presented a number of options to the previous administration, and that option was the one that was retained, and as well as we worked on a tagline, which is the port that moves with you, which the goal would be that it appears on everything, that the conclusion was it's something that represents Oswego a lot. And so there are different renditions of this logo, and that's where we are today. Then the website, yes.
Can we go back to the logo? Can you
Yes.
explain that a little bit to me? It doesn't make.
Yes, so the logo, if you look at the arrow, which an arrow signifies movement,
Right.
it also looks like the lake and the river, and both docks, so the west dock and the east dock in Oswego. So we thought that it was representative. There were a number of other renditions, you know, when we arrive with logo options, we like to present the let's say mild, medium, spicy, a little bit like salsa, and that one was kind of a medium spicy that was retained.
I would say, just to David's point, when they did their brainstorming session, there was a number of different logos that could always be revisited by this board if they needed to be. They were talked, they were discussed, and then previous administration made a decision to move forward. That one is not set in stone, David, correct? I mean, if the board wanted some additional input on it, but there was a process to get through it. It was ultimately approved by the prior administration. So David didn't pick this. This isn't David coming here and saying this is the one we should go with.
Yeah, I just couldn't, I got the movement part.
Yeah.
but-
Yep, totally fair, totally fair.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it, so.
The goal is to refresh the brand, right? And it's not to build a logo just because we're a bunch of artists that want to put our art to work. We believe this logo is part of a broader refresh initiative that involves other action in the action plan.
Okay, move on there.
Yep. So the website. The website where it stands today, and I spoke a little bit about it, and Tom, maybe after this presentation you could share the audit, the entire audit, which was several pages. But you know, we're using, just to give you a few examples that are low-hanging fruits here on the website, we're using a blurry logo. So it's probably a logo that was copy and pasted at low pixel, low contrast. The website has 4 different fonts on one page, 14 different fonts in total. Navigation is buried in too many links. So we have challenges where the SEO, so search engine optimization, there's no keyword strategy. That's something that I talked about a little bit. There's slow load times that hurt the rank in the UX. Not usable on mobile device.
What is UX?
It's the user experience.
Okay,
Not usable on a mobile device, that's crazy.
yeah.
When I say not usable on mobile device, you're able to take your iPhone and go on the website, but you're going to see like a kind of an image, right?
Yep.
So there's no clear contact info. Leads are lost. No content update, FAQs. We recommend also maybe a competitive analysis or an audit of the tariffs in the lake, so port tariffs. Terms and conditions, legal terms and conditions. We believe this is and this is not like David from the marketing agency that's speaking. It's David, the former stevedore that's speaking. That's having terms and conditions on the website. That's really important. Profile of the key people. Tom, Pat, having pictures of the
I've said that
workforce.
for a long time, because the board is the connection to the community.
Yeah,
And if they have more information, they can ask questions.
exactly. That's so. That's a good point. When we're mentioning that no one is able to see, there's kind of an iron curtain that is here at the port, where the feeling of the people that participated in the brainstorming was that the community doesn't know what the port is doing and how important it is.
So I
You
have
hit
another
it, you
picture,
hit it.
and I
Yeah.
see that there's some money already spent on this. Is that money just for the inventory, or have you done wireframes, or where are we at this point?
Yeah, let me go there. So, yeah, we can skip directly there, Pat. Sorry.
Well, we don't have
Tom.
to, I mean, I'm just curious, but I'm seeing what's.
So the brand identity development, so it's something in phases, right? We need to create the brand prior to launching it, but brand identity development, it's in progress. There was 18,000 invoiced, there's about 11,000 remaining, so we're pretty much done. Website redesign, we only did the audit, okay? Everything was put on hold after that. And the website, we're estimating about a total of $50,000 remaining. And the rebrand and go-to-market is not started. And the 48 there is only an indication, because there needs to be additional meetings to kind of determine what we're talking about for go-to-market. There are different initiatives. Again, do we want to go Cadillac or we want to go Toyota? Okay, it's both are perfectly fine, and they will determine the type of initiatives and strategy that we're moving towards. Any questions on the budget?
Yeah, one other question, on the website, so for the remaining $50,000, I assume that's a complete redesign of the website, or replatforming? Does it get replatformed somewhere else?
Yes.
Where is it, does that mean it's getting a new posting? How does that work? And then also, does that $50,000 include just creation of wireframes, or are you actually building content?
So.
And then who keeps the website up?
So there is some maintenance budget allocated to it. Quite frankly, the first presentation, the first pricing that was suggested was on the high side. and there was a lot more budget allocated for content, and we were at about $100,000, which is
For a website?
well, not just for the website, for building content that will also go on the website. So that was including
Yeah.
both content and website redesign. On that one, there's some copywriting and content creation that is included. But on the, let's say, video content, instead of us shooting it directly, we would need to kind of use local, either port employees or local teams to prepare that content. So there wouldn't be as much art direction included in that version.
Okay. I assume we're gonna talk about this after we're done with the presentation, right? Connie?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So the full timeline that we propose here today is we had the brainstorming that started in July 2025, the audit, and the status update that we have today. If we were to move forward with what's remaining, we would be able to complete the redesign by middle of Q4, mid Q4, and then go to phase 2, which is the activation and engagement, where we're developing strategy for going to market with that new brand that we just built. And then the broader influence is more in 2027, so that's more down the road. So what we're looking at today is, well, ask the board to approve the final brand elements, approve the revised website budget, and look at what's needed for the green light for the rebrand launch. And that is the end of my update today. Any questions, comments? Was I good with time?
Yeah, you were great.
Yes.
Good.
Just trying to figure some things out.
Everyone's still
It's like-
awake, so that's good.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
I would just say, to give a little bit of where am I? Who am I? To give a little bit of context on, why this is coming to you all in long form. So when I came on, David had reapproached these conversations. The board at some point had some conversations about conducting some of the initial work regarding website audits and some of the minimal stuff that's been done already. I then came on, David and his team at DHD gave me the same presentation that you all just received. I felt it was important, particularly anytime you're talking about a rebranding or redesign, that needs to run directly through you all. You guys are the board of directors. I feel it's important that the board takes ownership of how we communicate to the public and how we tell our story. And so that's when I suggested to David and coincided with our vessel here today to kind of have, particularly with a new board member here and some newer than others, myself included, to hear it another time, to start to wrap your head around the scope of the project, what it would entail, and why it's important. And so, it's the board's kind of discretion on how we proceed with this. I think it's fair to say it's a lot of information that's been thrown at you. I think it's perfectly fine to digest that information. David and I talk, regularly about this, but I felt this project, the conversations surrounding this project couldn't, between David and I, couldn't proceed until we had a little bit of direction from the board. That doesn't have to come through a formal vote to approve contracts or anything along those lines. But if this is something the board is interested in continuing to exploring and actually putting some money behind eventually, David and myself both need some direction on it.
This is something that I feel is really important
Sure.
for the board. My biggest question would be the funding.
Yeah, yep. I think that's totally fair. And I would say it's twofold. One, David and I have had very transparent conversations about that surrounding the funds. They've been fantastic in understanding how focused we are on cash flow right now. And so again, when it comes to the money, I think we all share the sentiment. I think DHD has a good understanding of it. I think before any additional fund, and this is the discretion of the board, but before any funds are reallocated to this project, the board needs to decide if they're interested in the vision that David's presenting. If this is something that interests the board, then David and I both have the green light to rehuddle amongst ourselves and say, where would we start? And if we were to start, what could we tackle first that makes the most sense? So really, I think the purpose of today is, and again, your discretion. This is just what I need and what David needs, at least out of today, is if this direction that DHD is proposing is something that the board is interested in.
David, it was on the news today that the president just imposed a 50% tariff on everything coming from Canada because of their smoke.
Yep.
How fast would the turnaround time be in relationships to things like tariff changes and things for that to be updated onto the website?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So how quick would we
The
be
system
able to-
is a bunch of moving parts,
Yes.
right? So costs and what a port can offer and how it handles the
Oh,
economics.
you mean the
of-
port tariffs?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how quickly would the turnaround time be to update, bombshell stuff like that when it
Mhm.
happens?
It's a matter of hours. It's a matter of hours.
I mean, eventually we'd have an administrator.
Can we
Some
dive in on
employees-
that just a little bit more? Because
The microphone?
I think what I heard you say was, Diane, was how long does it take us to update the website? Is that right? If there's changes?
Yeah, because the economics of shipping, like everything else, is changing so rapidly and fluctuating
Right.
so much right now. We need a site that's going to be able to accommodate that.
Yeah, I have a few questions on the site, but I think Jamie was gonna say something, and then I'm with you on this.
Well, yeah, my understanding would be that once it's completed, there'd be a local
local
administrator,
administrator.
someone on the staff or Tom who's responsible for that
Right.
stuff. I
That's
have a
dependent on
let me- I have a
what the
second question.
platform is that it's built on.
Understood. There are a lot of requirements by the state on what we have to put on the website. Do you do that, or do we do that?
That's a great question. I don't think that one.
Because there is point after point after point that we have to put out to the public that has to be on a website,
Yeah.
any website.
Go, no,
Which we currently do.
Correct.
Kim
We
currently
do
does
that? Okay.
yeah, those things are, to your point, they're required to be on the website. I think, to Diane's point, I don't know, David, if we have an answer on who we would continue to update the living website, right? So DHD designs the website for us. Diane sees the news today that 50% tariffs are on all Canadian products coming into the US. How quickly could we turn that around to update on that website? Is it you updating that on the website? Is it someone here hosting that has admin ability to update the
It
website?
can be both. It can be both.
Would you provide, whoever the administrator is, you would provide training for them?
I would have to check with my VP of Interactive Services. So to give you an idea, we manage and we build a number of websites. So DHD is located in Chicago, Illinois. And we work with a number of companies, a lot of which in the public sector. So we built a website for the RTA, which RTA is the authority that supervises all public transport in Chicago. So it's above the CTA, and they have a number of requirements for people with disabilities and things like that to put on the website, and we are the ones making maintenance and updates on a regular basis. Then we have those websites that have that where you need to be able to purchase directly online. So there are other requirements. Other have security requirements. For Oswego, well, there's probably not as much requirements as some of the examples that I named, but we are able to provide a number of services, and yes, training would certainly be part of it.
Can I ask, can you tell me what the platform is that the website is built on today?
I think it's part of the audit, but I don't know for sure right now. I can,
I mean, is it WordPress? Is it like?
I can get back to you. I can get back to you on that.
Okay, the reason I'm asking, guys, is because redoing a website is complicated, and what I'm hearing here, while I agree it should absolutely be redone, I'm not disagreeing with anything David says. Rebuilding one is complicated. I just did it for Cornell for my unit, and putting together the wireframes is one thing. It's pretty easy, and it's easy to have someone do that from outside. Putting together the content is extremely hard. Putting together the layout of what the content is supposed to be, the tables of contents, everything that you need, it's a big process. And creating the content, so it's not the exact same stuff that's there today, just repackaged into a different design, is a lot of work. And David's right, you have to go out and buy a lot of that content, whether it's photographs, whether it's videos, and you have to write a ton. You have to write a ton of content and have all the links. So this is not a small deal, especially when we're proposing to do everything that David has done. I just looked at the RTA site. It's pretty simple and basic, if I'm being honest. I almost feel like this is going to be more complicated than that. And then the maintenance is expensive. So unless we're able to maintain it here, which I would hope that we could, in-house, it is very expensive. This is, I worked my whole career at Accenture, and this is what we did for a living. So I'm just saying, this isn't a $50,000 endeavor. It's going to be a lot more.
We had initially quoted 100,000 because we were allocating a lot for the content. We have people in-house that do that. We have an in-house copywriter, we have an in-house, 2 in-house programmers, and a video editor. We manage a number of websites for example, senior living communities that have units that are available. And all these websites that I named have requirements right now that my feeling are bigger than the ones in Oswego here. Building the content is going to be extremely important.
Have you done any in New York State? Like, have you done any that are compliant with New York State?
We have not. We have not.
Guidelines?
We have not. We're complying with other guidelines. For example, in California, we have a number of clients that we worked with in Washington State and in California. We have not done one in New York State yet.
Okay. So that's all accessibility guidelines, also cybersecurity guidelines,
Yeah.
everything like that.
I think that if we want to explore that, I'm probably not the best person to speak to, and I would book maybe an additional session with our our VP of Interactive Services. He's the programmer. He's the one that built all the websites that I'm mentioning. He's the one that built the audit. And maybe if I send you the audit, that would probably answer a lot of the questions.
Sure, I'd be happy to look at it.
Tom, you still have the audit, right?
Yeah, we can get it to the board.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have to, I gotta take it out.
Great.
The other question, Tom, I have is, we've never done a market study that I know of. So this, to me, is slightly backwards because we're trying to address a market that we don't really know what it is.
That's a good point.
Oh, I don't know, markets. You want to talk about spending money? My experience on boards to spend money on market studies is they are wasting money. It's just my opinion. I've been through it so many times. And it's all the same, you get the same answers back from different groups, and it's the same language, and it comes out, and here's what you pay at the end. And I don't know, I've just always found it to be useless information for me, every single time I've ever been through it. That's just a personal opinion on it, but I don't know.
If I may, and I don't want to sound overconfident, but if you were to use a market study, you would probably hire someone like me that has the experience in the market to conduct it. And it's something that, yes, could be useful, but a lot of it is provided in the brainstorming document that was done for the port and for which the port paid last year. The rest is, there is elements of a market study and analysis that would come with the go-to-market launch, which is who do we go advertise to? Who do we, when I say advertise, I'm not talking about the TV ads there, but I'm talking about who do we invest resources to get their attention.
Tom, could you share that brainstorming document with us,
Share
please?
it all with it, share it all with it, yeah, just give me some time to pick them all up. It was pre-me, so I gotta go back and find them.
This, I think, is a critical issue. It has always been a critical issue for the sport. And the session we just went through with that, we've got to do something different. But I want to feel like we have enough information and background
That's fair.
to be able to have a dialogue about it, and we don't right now.
I think that's fair.
If I may, some of the perception that I've seen since end of 2017, beginning of 2018, and then we worked back then with Bill Scriber at the time, is it started with, okay, Oswego is just an inducement port. That's a term in the industry to describe a port that you only go when you're forced to. For example, the nuclear plant is changing a reactor. Well, you're not going to send it anywhere else than Oswego. You got to go through Oswego. So we worked out this perception. Then with Bill, there was a lot of efforts that were done with the pilots who had the perception that the Port of Oswego was not seaway draft. And this was a misconception. And we worked back then in sending the draft surveys to the pilot association, then to the main shipping companies that have lake-fitted vessels. I wish that it took only like a month or two to change, but it took almost 2 years to change that
And
misconception.
we got a ship from Egypt with grain as a result of that.
Yes, and it took a lot of time. And so everything moves not as fast as we would like, but you're dealing with a lot, unfortunately, of misconception when you're not the one on the offensive with your brand telling your own story. Well, someone else tells your story. Someone else says the Port of Oswego is just for inducement. The Port of Oswego doesn't have seaway draft. There's no there's no wind that can get out of Oswego. That's the last misconception that we had to fight in 2021 with trucking companies that were hired and that we were not aware of. These winch projects are being prepared, and you probably have trucking companies that are coming here without you knowing, and that are building road surveys out the port and saying, well, there's too many wires here, doing wind cargo is going to be too hard. We worked with trucking companies for 2 years to change that misconception and tell them, no, we're going to use a different route through Hammer Mill. I'm not sure if some of you remember.
I remember.
So all of that is just like working in the trenches. In the maritime industry, you're fortunate that there's probably 300 to 500 relevant people to reach out to. It's not something where you need to speak to thousands of people. And but it's important to tell the story, to tell your own story, not someone else tells your story.
So, I kind of have two questions. What would be your next step if we made a positive decision?
We would finish the brand activation so that we can start the website. I think the most urgent is the website, because that's the one that produces like that grabs the most the highest amount of low-hanging fruits, and with the website, then after that you can open up to the world and say, okay, well, here I am.
And so my next question is, are you aware of any venues that have received grants for upgrading the website?
I am not aware of that.
Maybe somebody else would.
I'm not sure if that those PIDP grants were applicable.
I mean, Jenna, you might be able to speak to this a little bit better than me, but from my experience, at least with grant funding for websites, it tends to be tricky. Yeah, it tends to be difficult. Particularly.
I don't know.
Yeah, so at least in my experience, with the PIDP, the Port Infrastructure grants, I would say more of a brick and mortar focus as opposed to a digital focus.
As a state authority, would the state consider it? It's really not part of it.
It would still be considered a capital improvement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jenna. Probably. The state's, I would say, pretty up to par on the importance of digital footprints and improving digital footprints. At least I know from a security standpoint and from a cybersecurity standpoint, whether or not that's applicable to a traditional landing page to conduct business on, I don't know if I'm educated enough to say. But yeah, it'd be worth exploring whether or not it would fall into that category. On the surface, I would think yes, but
So there is, I just Googled it.
okay.
There's a few here, I'm happy to send this to you.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we should look into.
I think so too. Again, just not to revert back.
Especially if it's connected to cybersecurity.
Yeah, and I'm happy to explain a little bit more about what we're doing on that end when I get into my report. I think, to Diane's point, I think it's just well taken in the sense of, in order to have the dialogue about this, I think the board needs to be well versed in all aspects of it.
I agree.
And so the clarity again that I think David and I need today is, yes, we're interested in walking down the path with DHD, continuing to walk down the path with DHD. In the meantime, we'll continue to explore all different funding avenues, everything under the sun on how we can properly fund a rebrand. But if it's not something that the board's interested on the surface, David's too close of a partner with us to waste his time and to leave him on the hook for something like that, because we value DHD's relationship. I value my relationship with David. And so if this is if what you're hearing from David is something that merits further exploration from a from a funding standpoint, from a branding standpoint, from a website standpoint, that's the direction that we would lead. David and DHD have been more than gracious with working with us at every corner on trying to bring this to fruition through different creative funding streams on their own, and also working with us with whatever we throw at them to see how we can get creative in doing this. They've been terrific, but they do need your guys' at least sign off to say, let's walk down this path a little bit further. Let's get you guys all the information that's already been conducted, that's been done, so you can analyze it yourself. And in the meantime, David and I can continue to get into the weeds and say, what's first step, what's second step, and be able to bring it back to you all once you have all the information to say, okay, are we ready to hit go?
Do you have to take a vote on that?
You do not, in my opinion. That's up to the board, but David and I are engaged in pretty regular conversation, but I think just an informal basis in
Is that
conversation.
your recommendation?
I don't make recommendations to you guys on that, whether or not you want to.
We're not taking a vote on it, so I don't know why you can't make a recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I would defer to David as well, what his partners need. As far as that goes, I'm confident in David and I's working relationship. If the board informally here says, let's keep talking, David and I will keep talking and get the proper information. David, if you feel like your partners would be more enticed by the board essentially doing a memorializing resolution, giving me the authority to continue to explore these conversations with you, I don't see any harm in doing that, Jamie, but.
Oh, no, I'm not asking for that.
Yeah.
I'm just asking for your recommendation if we're not going to vote. If we vote, yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly one way or another, to be honest with you.
I
So
think
we-
this
I think
we
we should
don't-
walk down the
do we
path a
have
little
to do
further,
something?
like
Yeah.
that phrase.
I would agree that you should walk down the path with
Yeah.
David.
Yes.
Oh, I
think
feel
what they
that
do
we
is
should continue our.
And then do our due
Interest.
diligence, look, get
Yeah.
the information.
Yeah.
the
But is
time
there
to
something
decide,
that we have to do tonight so you can finish your present task?
Well, right now, everything's put on hold, so everything's put on hold.
Why was it put on
Money?
Yeah,
Yes,
money.
yes,
We-
everything's
we-
on hold.
I would say after we saw the trends of last year, we just felt it important to put things on hold until we saw the market at least
So
stabilize.
there's been no
and-
contract signed for the overall package?
No, not for the overall package.
Okay.
Whether or not my predecessor or predecessors before me, we have a consulting contract with DHD that we have on retainer that we work with on a monthly basis.
Separate from this?
Separate from
Okay,
this.
I got you.
Whether or not there's contracts signed for the website audit, Jamie, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at my predecessor's files. And
There's no, to my knowledge, there's no contract that was signed. It was, there was a marketing plan that was presented with a number of initiatives. And the previous administration said, okay, well, we should start with this initiative, and this one. And at some point, everything was put on hold due to the change of administration. And we continued working with Tom on the, let's say on the, let's call it what, the marine business development basis
Sure.
consulting.
Sure, correct.
So,
Yep.
while the marketing work was remaining on hold.
So we work day in and day out, essentially with David on everything marine aspect. Sourcing customers, pricing customers, questions from potential vendors that I don't know the answer to. The other side of their firm handles all of those types of maritime issues. On the other side, they're a marketing firm as well. So they're a one-stop shop for everything that you kind of need to bring. But go ahead, sorry.
Who did the last webpage?
Oh, I have no idea. It might have been before I was born, Diane. I'll be honest.
Is it that old?
It's not that old, but it's
It's been the same website at least since 2017, I think.
It was about a year,
Before I
a year or
got-
two old when I came on board.
I'm shocked it's that new.
It's an individual.
Yeah. It really needs to be more.
Well, we should move on though. So
Yeah.
is everybody in agreement that we should just
Yes.
walk along the path a little further
I think
without
so.
formal agreement?
Jenna?
Does that work? Does that work for you,
Yeah.
Jenna, too? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
And then we'll get all the info from Tom.
So what we'll do is we'll share out in more detail everything that's been set and done to date. David's great at making himself accessible. If we want to have a more long form, kind of intimate conversation on this, Jenna, I know you want to see some of the back end stuff on that, so we can make that happen to get everybody up to speed. In the meantime, as opposed to bringing this to a screeching halt, although it essentially is right now, David and I can start to explore when the board's up to speed, if they're continuing to like what they see, which made a good impression tonight. I will be able to come back with you to do both at once, essentially. Bring you up to speed. In the meantime, I can start bringing you some hard stuff to say.
Like how we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, how it would be funded, how it would be, so on and so forth. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive, I just think we can do both at once. But it's important for you guys to have buy-in.
But we also have to realize that if we do this and we get one extra ship,
I
we
know.
paid
Yeah,
for
pays
it.
for it.
Yeah.
It does, that's fair. That's fair.
So it's,
Well,
You have to do
maybe,
it, but,
maybe a couple shifts.
okay,
Yeah.
but still, the premise is there.
Yeah.
but if it might take a couple of years for that to really develop, we don't wanna bury ourselves in the same, at the
But we
same
don't want to miss the
time.
revenue that we could potentially
Right.
got too.
These are the exact
Spend a little
conversations,
time alone.
these are
Yeah,
the
I
exact type
just-
of conversations that haven't taken place, that need to take
Right,
place.
sure.
Which is why,
Understood.
yeah, which is why we're here.
This is a wonderful idea and it needs to happen, we just need to know how to fund it.
Okay.
We need to get our eggs in a basket.
Yeah, I mean, to David's credit, they have their eggs in a basket. We just need to decide,
don't.
we need to decide,
Which
and we
eggs?
do, I mean, we do, we've gone through these exercises, but with this transition, it was put to a hold. He's had all the conversations, people have provided feedback here. The board's now gonna, get up to speed, provide any more additional feedback, and then we decide to go. But this doesn't make sense for me and the staff here to do out on an island, and to not have the board input, because you guys are the board, and you need to have input and direction on how we present ourselves. So as long as everybody's comfortable, I'll continue to walk down this with David.
Yeah.
We'll continue to, we'll pull and provide everything to date, so you can dive in deeper. I'm comfortable with that, if you're comfortable with that, if the board's comfortable with that, I think that makes sense.
I think at the next meeting, we can review what we have read
Yep,
and.
Yep.
Yeah.
and David's always happy to jump on virtually, he's very accessible.
Yeah, for more of the more technical questions,
Yeah, you can
once
bring-
the
yeah.
website audit has
I got a couple
been
guys
shared,
helping
I can get the people that actually worked on it. You can tell by my vocabulary that I was not the architect of that. So yeah,
David, thanks so much, brother.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
David's been down here, we've been doing, what's today, Tuesday, we did 16 hours yesterday, we'll do 16 hours, 17 hours today. David's been helping us with everything going on the vessel, so he's a fan of the Port of Oswego, and you're seeing him for the first time under this marketing guys. I've got the pleasure to know him through the operations and marine guys, and he's fond of the Port of Oswego, and he's a good guy to have in our corner, so I'm looking forward to you guys getting to know him.
we helped secure and source the grabs which are
You did.
required for discharging the salt.
No
So-
no salt project here without the crabs. So that's just one of many easy
Thank
examples
you.
of mine.
Thanks,
Thanks, David.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day, thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
I
Bye-bye.
didn't mean to cut you off.
This is something that should have happened a long time ago.
Sure.
So, yeah, we need to get up to speed. We just need to know.
And what time do you have to leave?
I have to be home by 7.
All right, here we go.
Did you pull this that way? You pull this that way.
Administrative operational report, Tom Drum.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Port of Oswego for our monthly meeting. I just kind of mentioned at the onset, got Bill Christ here, who's taking the plunge and is gonna join us here, who was appointed by the governor's office last month. So Bill and I know each other a little bit through our travels, but happy to have him on board here. So let me dive into my report a little bit. I'm going to leave this. I think I had a pretty in-depth report to provide because we've been a couple months in the sensitivity of time. I'm going to kind of rip through a couple things here. If the board decides that they want to, as soon as I can find my page, if the board decides they want to dive into one thing or another, I'm happy to dive into the weeds on Thank you. On stuff that kind of pops up organically here. Jenna, can you hear me okay at this level?
Okay.
Okay, all right, perfect. So I'm going to dive right into operating business here. You'll see a couple of boats into port. We have the Alouette Spirit on 6/8 carrying just about 4,000 pieces of aluminum. I'm happy to say we're expecting the Alouette back in port this Friday, delivering about 4,500 metric tons of aluminum, about 6,000 total pieces. We are always excited to see aluminum vessels into port. We're an aluminum port. We will always be an aluminum port as we have all these great conversations about branding and so on and so forth. It's important to take care of what is provided for the port.
Coming when?
They're coming this Friday. It'll be a very, very busy port down here. We'll have our salt vessel, which you see out my back shoulder here, along with a large aluminum bow towards the north end of our dock down here. We also have a barge that will be loading fireworks for Harbor Fest that will also be floating around our wall just as soon as we all figure out the best place to put them. So we are as busy as it gets down here, which is on the surface, good news. When it comes to aluminum, I'm going to jump around here a little bit, so just bear with me a little bit. Our aluminum is obviously directly attached to Novelis and everything that's happening out at the Novelis plant. Novelis turned on their hot mill a few weeks ago for the first time. The port was in attendance for that celebration. They did a very detailed explanation about everything that happened out there. The amount of money that has been gone and reinvested into that plant is about as much of a teardown as you can imagine, and a complete rebuild twice. And so we work and we have been incredibly strong partners with them, not only historically, but through their challenges of the fire, and now with the new logistics in starting up a plant of that size and the volume of that size. As you came into the port tonight, you saw the number of aluminum slabs that we have on site. They average out to be about 14 metric tons per piece. In partnership with Novelis and the restart, we have broken records down here for storage of aluminum slabs on site. We're vastly approaching 4,000 pieces of aluminum slabs on site. Debbie can attest to, it has never been done before. We hope that we're happy that it's here. We do well. We produce revenue off it. But for the sake of Novelis, less of those big slabs on site means more of them going through the hot mill to be rolled out to be put into the aluminum bodies and into the product.
Right.
So we're happy to be a partner with them on a short-term basis for this, but it is never been done before. And we've done a little bit of a historical look back to see if anybody's ever done it before. And certainly, at least everybody that's been in the industry for at least the last 25 years has never seen a project like this. And so that comes with its logistical challenges, and but it is, from a storage and revenue standpoint, it is a good thing for the port. Keep an eye on us. We will have news forthcoming about potentially expanding that operation, that storage operation, but not something I'm gonna dive deep into publicly at this time. But something I'm happy to brief the board in a more proper form. We had a potash. Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, does having all the aluminum, I've heard that there's aluminum down there, so that's great. Does it change the life cycle of paving for us? Does it degrade out?
Oh, for sure.
Infrastructure?
Yeah, for sure. I think to that point, Jenna, you know, when Novelis begins to bring this bring these slabs back to the mill for rolling, we'll likely clear out what's kind of out our windows here first. We'll have to do a full assessment of the infrastructure then. In full transparency, the infrastructure has been aging significantly down here for a long time. So without a doubt, we'll see some effects of that level of storage. I would say thankfully we've shifted operations from the bulk of the storage being down here to our property that we own at the former Fitzgibbon site. That infrastructure, I would say I'm much less concerned about. Does it need to be fixed long term? Absolutely. But that site is used less often with less traffic. It's a staging area. It's built to store. It's built to stage. So thankfully we've reduced the load on this yard down here. We're pretty much maxed out. Can't put much more out the window here. So being able to shift it to a really traditional laydown zone is just much better in terms of keeping things organized and on the infrastructure as well.
You sound like a pro.
I'm trying my best, Jen. It depends on the day. It depends on the day. We did receive the Algoma Innovator at the port on 5/19 that came in May. That is a potash self-unloading vessel that will go directly from ship into our third dome over here. Cool project to see. Nice little revenue for us. We make money off of docking, wharfage, and obviously when we're handling the product as well. Anytime we're receiving volume in a boat in port, it's good news. We just want more. So with that being said, I'll transition a little bit. Did anyone have any questions to date on that? Any questions about novellas? Any questions about our barges going in? So again, we saw one in June. We're anticipated to see one at the end of July. If this continues to trend towards this way, we anticipate to see some in August. I would say, flipping to your other exhibits here about kind of our month-to-month over summaries, which again, to Debbie and both Debbie and Kim that put these packets together for you. I always encourage, you'll hear me say probably every month, to dive into these. These are very labor intensive. Our people here spend a lot of time on them, and as board members and as the executive director, it's important to kind of continue to get a strong understanding of what it's looking like month over month, year over year, and how it compares to what we projected in our budget. If you remember when we passed our budget in our initial phase, what's tricky about the budget, and Debbie can speak to this if she needs to, the budget is a projection, right? So when I look at budgets, I'm a little bit more focused on what I would consider actual numbers. What did we actually produce? How was that comparative to what we produced in the previous month of that year? And then give me actual numbers on where we compared year to date. And so in these, I'm not going to go through line by line here, but I would encourage you, and if you have questions, to reach out to myself or Debbie. It's a tutoring session. It's Debbie and I have sat very consistently week over week, taking an incredibly focused look on financials and numbers. And it's as a guy that's interacted with budgets before, this is a new beast. And so encourage you all to dive in, ask questions. Feel free to reach out and get what I've been calling Debbie and I's tutor sessions, and we're happy to run you through this a bit more innately. In a macro sense, you see these charts on the front here. That's what I say to Dad. I'm like, show me, this chart looks scary, right? And so explain this to me, walk me through this. In the macro sense, if you're wrapping your head around these types of things, the port and revenue, we're working towards diversification of income, right? We've typically relied year over year on aluminum. We will continue to rely year over year on aluminum. But when you see income and expense levels that are in your board packet, you see a green graph and you see a red graph. These right now, in a macro sense, do trend not only towards the business that's coming into the port, but more specifically, vessel revenue, right? And so when vessels come in, we have more income, as simplistic as I can put it. So you'll see a little bit of a discrepancy here in May of 2026, where our expenses outnumbered our incomes. you can tie it, correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie, correctly to vessel traffic, right? We didn't receive an aluminum vessel in May. This hinges on, I would just note, different type of aluminum coming on these aluminum vessels. These are what we call prime aluminum or aluminum salves. These are 100% pure aluminum. Because of where Novelis is in their restart process, and as they continue to ramp up, we also expect eventually prime aluminum to catch up with their upstart as well. Because we have a large amount of storage right now, and because they're going through a multitude of testing and breaking in of that line, I think it's fair to say, Debbie, we perhaps expected to see a little bit more of vessel traffic in May and June, but now it's trending outwards towards August, September, October. That's okay, as long as it comes. All trends, all indications are that it's coming. But as we project out our budget, we base it on just that, projections, right? So you may come through these budget numbers and see some numbers there that might jump off the page to you. I would just caution you, they're projections. I would steer you to diving into actual year-over-year comparisons and actual month-to-month comparisons of what we're doing. So I wanted to note that. If you look towards June in here, again, tells a little bit of a different story. Our income outweighed our expenses. That's good. Just in the most simplistic terms, that's good, right? We want to see this green bar grow as quick and as high as possible, and we want to maintain, if not lower, our expense line. We have been diligent with our expenses. And that's also a credit to Debbie and the conversations that we've been having. We're looking at all of our expenses with an incredibly critical eye, finding ways in which we can lower these expenses. It's no dollar amount too high, no dollar amount too small. That has been Debbie's mission since I've at least come on board, to have a critical analytical eye at everything that we are spending. I don't want to speak for Debbie. I think we're making small strides in the right direction, with certainly more strides to continue. Full transparency, there's a learning curve for me too, though, right? I'm 3 months on the job here. I'm learning our expenses from a month-to-month over basis to get a sense of what's necessary, what's needed. But that income in June is a good sign. It's a good trend, and we need to continue it through the summer. That income, again, is going to be, there's going to be strong tie to vessel revenue coming in. One coming in on Friday, good. One coming in August, great. We want to see those volumes uptick a little bit. We want to take as much of that prime aluminum as we possibly can. But anytime it's here, whether it's 3,500 metric ton pieces, whether it's 10,000 metric tons, the port takes in significant revenue off of those vessels. So you can tally this to a multitude of factors for increased income, different contracts coming in. Billing cycles are particularly tricky around here. We have good months on certain bills that come in, other bills take a while to come in, so you have a little bit of play, you have a little bit of varied with that. But as board members, you want to keen in on me, and you want to keen in on what's going on with the vessels. If I was in your seats, what's going on with the vessels, what's the trend, so on and so forth. Do you have a question, Diane? I'm sorry.
Kind of. Do we expect anything out of Canada to be exported?
Yes. If yes, but if everything is the caveat that you have to say with that, anytime anything aluminum related is coming out of Canada, is directly tied to what's happening with the federal administration. So what you'll likely see over the next several months is our partners that we work with in the aluminum space, they will be depleting what they have domestically. 4,000 pieces with us. They have other geographical locations in the Northeast, heading towards the Midwest, of similar, not to what we have, but what that they store with. When Novelis is continuing this up ramp, that domestic aluminum will be sourced. When that aluminum is sourced domestically, trends indicate that it'll have to be imported. We've been working through the tariff and the customs process that that has to take place, but it's good news about vessels. Make no, I will not mince words on the volatility of the aluminum market on this federal administration. So anytime you're dealing with a 50% tariff that is currently being litigated through the legal process that does not have a light at the end of the tunnel with it, it is going to create a volatile market.
Is aluminum the only thing that comes out of Canada?
For us,
Forest fires.
forest fires. I don't know, Debbie, that's a good question. I
It's
would,
the stupidest thing I ever heard.
I would say,
It's gonna charge tariffs on a forest fire.
I would say, for the sake of the Port of Oswego, I would say close to 100% of what we receive from Canada is our, whether or not we've had vessels sourced in the past from there outside of aluminum, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know off the top, I don't know if you know that.
I'm trying to remember, I know there was something that used to come in from Picton, where does the potash come from?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
Picton, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was it, I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
a
it's Picton.
That's
Potash.
a question that was running around the boat. I can get the answer.
Yeah, it's just a
I
general
was pretty
question
sure
because
potash came in.
that will
Yeah.
affect our bottom line.
It can, and it wouldn't necessarily be, yes, you're not wrong, it's just,
Canadians at some point could just get angry and say we're not shipping it.
well, I mean, we've seen the volatility in the market, that's proved that, right?
I think we need to move on.
Yep.
Just gonna say, let's go.
They're,
Sorry.
no, it's okay, this is your show.
Still watch, Jay?
The Snow Watch, I will be happy to discuss with the board in executive session.
Okay.
It's not something that
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
comfortable sharing.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's good, unless you guys have any questions for the sake of time. Happy to call anytime, stop by anytime. I'm here a lot. So, anytime. So,
No, I'm complaining.
I'm not complaining, it's just, I'm here.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
so administrative financial reports. This will be a big vote on this. This is C1 and C2.
C1 and C2.
Yes.
I would move that we accept both C1 and C2 as a group.
I second.
Excuse me. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstains? Abstentions? Okay, passes. Thank you. Chairman's report, very short, really short. Welcome to Bill.
Thank you.
And the Albany requires the board to have an ethics officer, and Jamie has graciously accepted to do that. And when there is an ethics concern, or for example, we need to write a letter of resignation, it goes to the ethics officer. And as Jamie explained to me, he could be your best friend if you ask for ethics advice and he gives you that advice, and it happens to be incorrect, then you don't get in trouble.
Well, I was paraphrasing a little off. It's a good hedge against getting in trouble.
Thank you.
It's a position that's about compliance, so I make sure, because I've done some research on it, we make sure that we're all in compliance with state rules and regulations, including employees, and it's always open access to bring conflict questions that you have. It's not an investigatory position where you think somebody else has a conflict. That doesn't go with the ethics officer. That's entirely different beast. It's you thinking, should I vote on this or not? Should I ask this of the board? And you give an opinion. I'm willing to do it in the short term. I wanted it. I know it can be done by appointment, but I also think, and I don't necessarily need to vote on it, but I wanted people to be aware of the appointment, and if there's any opposition, fine by me, oppose.
Well, in new business, we can offer.
Yeah, I don't know that it needs a vote. I just want to make sure everybody's focused on it with it.
We certainly appreciate your experience legally.
I have many hours of ethics training.
As an attorney and a retired judge, thank you. All right, I just wanted to publicly thank Pam, who is the manager of the marinas. And Tammy, I'm sorry, Tammy. I want to thank her. I asked Tom about earlier when we were opening, this is our first full season with the Golden Ride opened. And she has managed to just about fill it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So
I
thanks.
noticed the line in the financials about it, it's great.
Yeah, so that's good, and so, and our thanks go out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm done with that. So we're going on, and no committee reports. And on to old business. Because we didn't have a quorum at our last meeting, we have to take up these motions. We have been giving the yacht club a slip in the Golden Marina for teaching purposes. So, motion 7/21/2603 is to give the Oswego Yacht Club one slip in the Golden Marina for the 2026 boating season to support their educational program, tri-sailing. Do we have a motion?
I'll make it.
Okay,
Jen?
Jenna, and I'll second.
Yeah? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstains? Passes. Thank you. Next is a motion to grant H.B. White Marine Museum one slip in the Golden Marina for the 2026 boating season. And they usually use this for some tours.
Masters.
Give it, Right, so
Kit, thank you.
I'll say yes.
Second?
I'll second.
May I call you Bill?
Please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Passes. Motion 07/21/2605 to accept the 25-26 audited financial statements as presented by our CPAs and advisors.
So moved.
Diane?
I'll second it.
Kit? Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Passes. Motion 7/21/2606 to accept the Public Authorities Reporting Information System, (PARIS) reports. Public Authorities Reporting Information System is online reporting system that the court is required to enter and submit information on its activity annually to both the authority's budget office, ABO, and the Office of the State Comptroller, OSC, required by law. This is SAD. Any questions, comments?
This is my realm.
Go ahead, please.
So there was packet in there, Exhibit D has all of the information that we have to compilate and submit. It ranges from you all and all of how you're appointed, when you were appointed, are you still active? Have you signed your fiduciary duty statement, those types of things. So all of you,
Oh, yeah,
down
I screwed
to,
up on that one.
down to includes all the employees that have worked here over the year and how much they are paid through the year. To things about real property, all of the real property that we own, a report on all of that, investments.
Is this every year this has to happen?
Every year, yes. So, and so there's reports in there that have the answers to all the questions because there are required things that we have to do. So yes or no, whether we're doing them, if we, as well as the spreadsheets that have all the information about them. As well, there's a financial information page. There's information about our debts. So all of that is in those documents that you have as Exhibit D.
And this is just a side comment, Diane and Jamie, those self-board assessment forms we are required by the state to summarize all the results and file it. and we're a couple of months overdue because we didn't have a quorum. So if you can do that before we leave, that would like fill your excuse.
Kitty already did.
I already did,
You
didn't I?
did.
Yeah, I thought I
Yep,
did.
you did yours.
I did mine too.
And you did yours.
I'm done, yay!
So, and that's one of the questions that is asked in the information about the board. Has the board done its annual evaluation?
We're on the process.
So-
Yeah, can I ask a quick question about that?
Yep.
Oh, you know what,
I-
Jen? Do you,
Would you need an
Jamie,
updated
do
one?
you still have the link to the state page with the correct form? You emailed it
It's
to
on the,
us.
it's on the,
I
probably
can
have
send it to you, Jen.
It's in the
If you're
ABO
sending it.
website that you can.
Is it, but it didn't have all the text in it. It was-
Yeah, we can send you one that does.
We can send you one that does.
If you go to the
Okay, yeah, because
ABO,
I actually tossed all that when I resigned.
No
if you go to the
problem.
ABO website, there's
Actually,
an
I talked
article.
just about everything when I resigned,
So we will get Jen one of those. Thanks, Jen. I didn't, out of sight, out of mind. I'm going to change my chair.
No, you're good.
Any more comments, Deb?
Sorry.
So should we just make a motion and?
Yeah, so that was the other thing, is that we discovered, now we haven't been doing this for years. We discovered that it's supposed to go to the board before I actually submit it. So,
Okay.
so here we are, giving it out to you for you to say.
It's a lot
go
of
ahead.
information, but it's very valuable. And
Yes.
it's a good synopsis, so.
I'll
Jen?
make a motion to submit.
Thanks, Jen. Second?
Here, Katie.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Passes. Our next motion, 7/07/21, 2607, to accept Coverfest request to use the Port of Oswego Authority property, that's the east side Marina and dock areas, west side parking lot, and associated property in front of the U.S. Coast Guard Station for amusement rides for the 2026 Harborfest. That's exhibit E.
Guess we better hurry.
This
I'll make a
is
motion.
something we do every year.
I
But
know,
is
I
there
know.
any liability with this?
Pardon me?
Is there any liability with this?
All of the individual, anybody utilizing port property has to buy a permit for insurances.
It's standard.
I'll second.
Wait first.
Marianne
Jenna?
and Bill? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Passes. Next motion to resume, we have to move into executive session. Motion to move.
Motion.
Bill?
Second.
Okay.
Jamie? Time? 6:41.